It was a cold winter evening in the heart of the city. The streets were busy, filled with people rushing to get home, holding warm cups of tea or wrapping scarves tighter around their necks. The wind was sharp, cutting through clothes like tiny needles. Streetlights flickered on as darkness slowly covered the sky. Ryan stood on the corner of the road near a small bakery. He wore an expensive black coat and leather shoes that shined even in the dim light. He was young, just 30 years old, but already a millionaire. His face was serious, but his eyes looked thoughtful, almost sad. Ryan had made money in the tech world, apps, software, online business. But even after all the money, cars, and parties, something always felt empty inside him. His heart, somewhere, felt cold. He had grown tired of fake people around him, people who smiled for money, people who lied for gain. So today, Ryan had a strange idea, a test. He wanted to find someone honest, someone pure, someone who still believed in what was right. He looked around, and then he saw her. She was sitting on the ground near the bakery door, a young girl, thin like a stick, wearing an oversized sweater with holes in it. Her pants were dirty and her feet were bare on the freezing ground. Her hair was messy, and her small hands were red from the cold. She looked around 12 years old. She wasn't begging. She wasn't saying anything. She just sat there, hugging her knees, looking at people walking by. Nobody stopped for her. Nobody looked at her. Ryan kept watching. Something about the girl made him stop and think. "This is it," he whispered to himself. He pulled out his wallet, thick, brown, made of real leather. Inside was a large amount of cash, credit cards, and his ID. Without saying a word, he walked past the girl and dropped the wallet near her feet, just enough to look like an accident. Then he quickly stepped behind a parked car across the road and watched. The girl noticed the wallet immediately. Her eyes widened. She leaned forward slowly and picked it up with both hands. Her fingers shook a little. She looked left, then right, then up the road and behind her. She opened the wallet carefully. She saw the money. So much money. Enough. To buy warm clothes, food, and maybe even a place to sleep for days. Her fingers touched the bills, but then stopped. Her eyes moved to the ID card inside. She stared at the photo of Ryan for a few seconds, then to the little picture tucked behind it. A young boy smiling with missing front teeth. Maybe it was his son? His brother? She quickly closed the wallet. Ryan narrowed his eyes. What would she do now? The girl looked around again, but she didn't run. She didn't hide the wallet. She just sat there holding it in her lap. Minutes passed. Cold wind blew harder. Her lips trembled from the cold, but she didn't move. Ryan waited, still watching. She should have run by now, he whispered, confused. Anyone would have. But the girl didn't. Instead, she looked up at the sky. Her lips moved as if she was saying something quietly. A prayer. A message to someone. Ryan couldn't hear her, but her eyes were wet. His heart beat a little faster. People passed by her, but nobody noticed her holding the wallet. Still, she didn't try to hide it. She just waited. That's when something unexpected happened. And this old man walked toward her. He noticed the wallet and stopped. His clothes were dirty, his eyes tired, but his voice was clear. "Is that yours?" he asked. The girl shook her head. "No, sir. Someone dropped it. I'm waiting. Maybe they will come back." The man looked at her strangely. Then he laughed. "You're homeless. Keep it. Buy food, clothes. No one's coming back," he said. But she hugged the wallet closer to her chest. "It's not mine," she whispered. "If I take it, maybe someone else will cry tonight." The old man stared at her for a moment, then walked away. Ryan, still hiding behind the car, couldn't believe what he saw. He had expected her to run. He thought she might laugh or cheer or even cry with joy. But she didn't do any of that. She just waited, patient, silent, honest. And for the first time in a long time, Ryan felt something in his chest, a small crack in the wall he had built around his heart. This girl, she was different, but the test was not over. Not yet. He wanted to see more. He needed to know, was this all an act, or was she really pure? He stayed hidden, eyes locked on her, not knowing that this small test would soon change his entire life. Rayan stood still behind the parked car, watching the little girl from a distance. Cold wind blew harder, and people walked past in a hurry, too busy to notice the quiet girl sitting on the ground, holding a wallet that didn't belong to her. She hadn't moved much since she found the wallet. She sat with it in her lap, her eyes fixed on the road, as if waiting for someone. Her face was calm, but there was something heavy behind her eyes, a kind of sadness that was deeper than her young age. Rayan's mind was full of questions. Why didn't she just take the money? Why didn't she run away? She could have vanished into the crowd. She could have used the money to buy warm food, new clothes, even a place to sleep. But she didn't. She was just sitting, waiting for something, or someone from a nearby tea stall. The smell of warm bread and chai floated in the air. The girl looked in that direction. Her stomach growled. She pressed her hands on her belly to quiet it. But still, she didn't move. She hugged the wallet close to her chest like it was something sacred. Rayan's heart felt heavy. This wasn't what he had expected. He had played this test before, with grown-ups, with strangers, even with some people he knew. Most failed within minutes. Some took the money. Some pretended to look for the owner, then disappeared. No one ever passed the test, but this girl, she was holding on. After a few minutes, a lady from the bakery stepped outside. She was middle-aged, wearing a green shawl and rubber slippers. She looked at the girl and sighed. "Still here?" she asked gently. The girl nodded. "Did you eat anything today?" the woman asked. "No," the girl replied, looking down. "Not since yesterday." The woman looked at the wallet in her hands and raised an eyebrow. "That yours?" The girl shook her head again. "Someone dropped it." "You should buy food," the woman said softly. "You're just a child. Keep it. No one will know." The girl looked up, her eyes full of truth. "If I eat with someone else's money, my mother in heaven will cry." The woman blinked, surprised. Then she walked back inside without another word. Behind the car, Rayan took a deep breath. That one sentence hit him hard. "My mother in heaven will cry." He closed his eyes for a moment. His own mother had passed away years ago. She used to teach him to always do what's right, no matter what. But life, money, and business had made him forget those lessons. He had grown cold, selfish, even proud of testing people like this. And here on the street, a little girl reminded him of his mother's words. Still, he didn't show himself. Not yet. He wanted to be sure. Was this honesty real, or was she just afraid? As time passed, more people walked by. Some looked at her, some ignored her. A few gave her strange looks, thinking she had stolen the wallet, but she never let go of it. Then a man with dirty clothes and tired eyes walked by. He stopped and stared at her. "You found that?" he asked. The girl nodded. "Give it to me. I'll find the owner," he said, holding out his hand. The girl hugged the wallet tighter. "No, I'm waiting." The man's face changed. He grabbed her wrist. "Give it to me, girl. You'll waste it," she struggled. "Let go. It's not mine." People around started watching. The man shouted, "Thief, she stole a wallet." The girl's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't. I'm waiting for him." Rayan's heart pounded. He wanted to run to her, but just then a shopkeeper nearby yelled at the man, "Leave the child alone or I'll call the police." The man grunted and walked away, muttering under his breath. The girl sat back down, breathing heavily, wiping her tears quietly. Rayan finally stepped forward, but kept a little distance. He couldn't believe what he had seen. She had nothing. No home, no shoes, no food. But she still protected something that wasn't hers, not for a reward, not for praise, just because it was right. He looked at her and whispered under his breath, "Who are you, little girl?" She didn't know he was watching her this whole time, but the test, it was about to go even deeper. The next thing that happened would test her even more, and break Rayan in a way he never imagined. Alina was still sitting on the cold pavement, holding the wallet tightly in her lap. Her little hands trembled from the wind, and her thin sweater was no protection against the freezing air. Her eyes stayed on the road, hoping the man who had dropped the wallet would come back. She didn't know that he was watching her the whole time. Rayan stood at a distance, hidden behind a tall advertising board. His heart was heavier than before. He had seen so much already. The girl had 100 chances to run away with the wallet, but she hadn't. Even when others tried to take it, she protected it like it was her own. Still, Rayan didn't come forward. Something inside him wanted to wait just a little longer. He needed to be sure. He needed to see how far this little girl's honesty could go. That's when an old man slowly walked up the footpath. He had a long white beard, a stick in one hand, and a tired face full of wrinkles. His clothes were dusty, and his shoes looked like they were falling apart. He stopped near Alina and looked at her with curious eyes. She looked up at him but said nothing. The old man pointed at the wallet in her lap. "Is that yours?" Alina shook her head. "No, sir. Someone dropped it." He leaned closer. "How long have you been sitting here?" "Maybe 2 hours," she said quietly. "You're waiting for the owner?" he asked. Alina nodded. "Yes, he must be looking for it." The old man sat down beside her with a sigh. "You look hungry. When did you last eat?" Alina lowered her head. "Yesterday morning." The old man paused for a moment, then said, "Child, maybe this is God's way of helping you. Maybe he dropped this wallet in your path because he saw your pain." Alina didn't answer right away. She looked at the wallet again. If it was a gift from God, it wouldn't have someone's photo inside. The old man raised an eyebrow. "What photo?" Alina opened the wallet slightly and showed him the picture of the young boy tucked behind the ID card. "That's his son, I think," she said. "He must miss him." The old man sighed. "You're a good child, but good children don't last long in this world. The world eats them." She smiled gently. "My mother used to say, no matter how bad the world gets, don't become like, stay good. That's your strength." The old man was quiet for a long time. Then slowly he reached out his hand. "Give it to me," he said softly. "I will return it for you." Alina's eyes narrowed. "Do you know the owner?" He paused, then said, "No, but I know people. I'll ask around." She held the wallet tighter. "Thank you, Uncle. But I promised myself I would give it back with my own hands." The old man frowned. "What if he doesn't come back?" "I'll wait till night," she said. "If he doesn't come, I'll go to the police station. Maybe they can find him." The old man looked at her for a long time. His eyes were soft now. "You're very different," he said finally. "What's your name?" "Alina." He gave her a small smile. "Alina, I hope this world doesn't change you." And then he slowly stood up, nodded once, and walked away, tapping his stick on the footpath as he disappeared into the crowd. Behind the board, Rayan wiped his eyes. He didn't know why he was crying. He wasn't the type to cry. But something about this girl, her words, her strength, her honesty, was tearing something inside him. She had nothing, and yet she held on to what was right. Most people, Rayan knew, had everything: homes, jobs, families, and still they lied, cheated, and stole. But this little girl, with empty hands and a hungry stomach, was more honest than any rich man he had ever met. His own test was starting to feel small now. Pointless, because this girl didn't need to be tested. She was already gold. He took a step forward, then stopped again. Just then, a group of boys came, running from the side alley. 3 of them, dirty clothes, loud voices, laughing and pushing each other. One of them noticed Alina sitting on the ground. "Hey, what's that in your lap?" one of them shouted. Alina pulled the wallet close. "It's not yours. Go away." But they came closer. "We just want to see," another boy said, already reaching. "Out." Alina jumped up. "Don't touch it." They laughed and grabbed her arm. "Why so serious, little girl? Got some treasure in there?" she screamed. "It's not mine. Leave it." Rayan's blood boiled. Rayan didn't think. He just ran. The second he saw the group of boys surrounding Alina, grabbing her arm, laughing like jackals, something inside him snapped. He had been hiding behind a board, watching silently for hours. But now, this wasn't just a test anymore. It felt personal. Alina was trying to fight them off, but she was too small. One of the boys yanked the wallet from her hands. "Let me go," she cried. "That's not yours." The tallest boy held the wallet high, laughing. "Wow, real leather. What do you think is inside?" "Money, idiot," another one shouted. "Let's open it." Just as he unzipped it, a loud voice thundered across the street. "Stop!" All three boys froze and turned around. Rayan stormed toward them, his eyes wild, his steps fast. He wasn't in his usual calm, polite self. No smile, no charm, just anger. The boys looked at his expensive coat, his strong build, and the fire in his eyes, and they panicked. "Run!" one shouted. The boy holding the wallet tried to throw it and escape, but Rayan grabbed his arm just in time. "Leave it," he said sharply. The boy dropped the wallet and ran with the others into the alley. Rayan bent down and picked it up. His hands were shaking, not from fear, but from shame. The wallet was his, he had dropped it on purpose. But now it felt heavier than ever. He turned slowly and looked at the girl standing in front of him. Alina was out of breath. Her face was pale, her lip bleeding slightly where one of the boys had pushed her. She didn't know who this man was. She didn't know he had planned everything. Rayan took a deep breath. He walked up to her and gently handed the wallet back into her hands. "This belongs to me," he said quietly. Alina looked at him in shock. "You?" He nodded. "Yes, I dropped it. On purpose." Her eyes widened. "Why?" she asked softly. Rayan looked away, ashamed. "Because I wanted to see what you would do. I've done this test before. I wanted to know if there were still honest people left in this world." Alina didn't speak. Her hands were still holding the wallet, but her grip was loose now. "I watched you from far," Rayan continued. "I saw everything. You had so many chances to run, so many chances to lie, but you didn't. You protected it like it was yours, even when it brought you trouble." Alina looked down at her torn shoes. Her voice was small. "I don't know why you tested me. I don't even have a home." Rayan stepped closer. "Exactly. You had nothing, but you chose honesty over comfort. You chose what was right even when it cost you." Alina finally looked up. Her eyes were full of quiet pain. "Sir," she said gently, "I didn't do it to impress anyone. I did it because my mother always said, 'We may be poor, but our heart should stay clean.'" Rayan's throat tightened. He had come to test a child and ended up being tested himself. He looked around. People had started watching. A few shopkeepers stood silently, unsure what was happening. But Rayan didn't care. He slowly knelt in front of her. "I don't know who you are, Alina," he said, "but today you've taught me something no school or book ever could. You reminded me of the person I once was, someone I lost a long time ago." Alina was quiet. Then she handed the wallet back to him. "You should keep this safe next time," she whispered with a small smile. Rayan looked at the wallet, then at her, and gently pushed it back into her hands. "No," he said. "I want you to keep it." She shook her head. "It's not mine." Rayan smiled. "Now it is. It's not a reward. It's respect." Alina's eyes welled with tears. She had never touched so much money in her life. But what touched her more was not the cash. It was being seen, being heard, being respected. Rayan stood up and looked around. "Does anyone know where this girl lives?" he asked loudly. Silence. Then the woman from the bakery spoke. "She sleeps behind the old factory, alone. Sometimes we give her leftover bread." Rayan turned back to Alina. "Not anymore." Alina looked confused. "What do you mean?" "I'm taking you with me," he said softly. "If you trust me." She hesitated. "Why?" "Because honest people don't belong on the street," he replied. "They belong in a home." Alina stood frozen on the sidewalk, holding the wallet she had just returned. Her eyes looked up at Rayan, confused and scared. She had never been inside a car. She had never trusted a rich man. And now, this stranger who tested her was asking her to go with him. "Why?" she asked again, voice trembling. Rayan looked her in the eyes. "Because someone like you doesn't belong out here. You've suffered enough." She stepped back slightly. "I don't know you. He nodded. That's true, but I'd like to change that. I want to help you, just a warm meal and a safe place to sleep. Nothing else. Alina stayed quiet. Rayan bent down slightly, his voice gentle. You don't have to say yes now, but let me do one good thing today. Alina looked down at her dirty feet. The road had been her bed for many nights. The cold had become her blanket, and hunger was her daily guest. Still, something inside her whispered, "Be careful." She looked back up. Just for one night? Rayan smiled. Just one. You decide what comes after. Half an hour later, Alina sat quietly in the back seat of Rayan's black car. Her eyes scanned the shining buildings, the glowing lights, the people behind glass windows. It was a world she had only seen from sidewalks. Rayan glanced at her through the mirror. She looked nervous, her small hands clenched tightly on her lap. You okay? He asked. She gave a small nod. He reached into the glove box and pulled out a wrapped chocolate bar. Hungry? Alina took it slowly, as if afraid it wasn't really hers. Thank you. They drove in silence after that. When they reached Rayan's house, Alina's eyes widened. It wasn't a house, it was a mansion. White walls, shining lights, a big gate that opened by itself. She had never seen anything like it. She followed him in, unsure whether to take off her shoes or keep them on. A maid walked by, but Rayan stopped her. No staff, he said. I'll take care of this. The maid nodded and left. He led Alina to a small guest room, clean bed, soft pillows, warm lighting. You can sleep here, he said. Bathroom's on the left. Take your time. I'll leave new clothes outside. Alina looked around, speechless. Thank you. Ooh, she whispered. Rayan paused at the door. There's food on the table in the next room. Come when you're ready. Then he left. Alina stood in the room, still not believing what was happening. Was this another test? Would he throw her out later? But part of her heart felt warm. Safe. She walked slowly into the bathroom. It was cleaner than anything she had ever seen. She stared at the mirror, touched her tangled hair, her bruised lip. For the first time in years, she cried. Not because she was sad, but because someone had finally seen her. In the dining room, Rayan waited. The food was still untouched. He wasn't hungry. His mind was full. Who is this girl? Why does she seem so familiar? He picked up the wallet again and stared at the photo inside. A boy. His own face. Younger. Happier. The photo had stayed there for years, hidden behind his ID. And then suddenly, it hit him. He rushed to his office and opened an old drawer. Inside was a stack of letters, photos, and papers from his past. He searched until he found what he was looking for. A photo of his sister. He stared at it. His sister had passed away in a car accident years ago. He hadn't seen her in so long. But in the photo, she was holding a small child, barely a year old. A girl, with big, curious eyes. A name was written behind the photo. Alina, 11 months. Rayan's hand began to shake. His legs gave out, and he sat down slowly. Could it be? The little girl from the photo. The homeless child who passed the wallet test. Was she his sister's daughter? His niece? Just then, soft footsteps approached. Alina stood in the doorway wearing the fresh clothes he had given her. Her hair was brushed. She looked cleaner, but still unsure. She sat at the table slowly. I don't know how to use all these forks and knives, she admitted quietly. Rayan stood up and smiled warmly. That's okay, he said. You don't need to. Just eat. Alina gave a shy smile and began to eat slowly. As she chewed, she looked up. Can I ask you something? She said. Anything. Why did you cry when I said my mother is in heaven? Rayan stared at her for a long moment, and then whispered the words that would change everything. Because your mother was my sister. Alina froze. She looked at Rayan with wide, confused eyes. What did you just say? Rayan slowly walked over and sat across from her. His voice was soft, his hands shaking. I said, your mother was my sister. For a moment there was only silence in the room. The kind of silence that wraps around your heart and makes it beat faster. Alina blinked, trying to understand. But my mother's name was Ariba. Rayan nodded. Slowly. Yes, Ariba Khan, my younger sister. Tears gathered in his eyes. We lost touch after our parents passed away. I was in college, busy with work. She got married to someone I didn't approve of. We fought. She moved away. I didn't speak to her again. He looked down, ashamed. And then, one day, I heard she died in a car accident, but I didn't know she had a daughter. Alina felt her throat tighten. She never talked about you. Rayan closed his eyes. I don't blame her. I left her alone when she needed me most. Alina stood up, backing away. Her mind was spinning. This can't be true. You're just saying this. Rayan got up too, slowly. I'm not lying, Alina. I swear on everything I have. He walked to the table and picked up the photo he had found earlier, the one of his sister holding a baby girl. He handed it to her. This is you. She sent me this photo once, years ago. I kept it in a drawer and never looked at it again. Until tonight, Alina stared at the picture. It was old and faded, but yes, the woman was her mother. And the baby, she had those same eyes. Her knees felt weak. She sat back down and stared at the floor. My mom died when I was 5, she whispered. My dad left me after that. I was sent to live with strangers. Then I ran away. I've been on the streets since I was 8. Rayan swallowed hard. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. All these years his niece was suffering, sleeping on the streets, while he lived in comfort just miles away. He gently reached out and placed his hand on hers. I didn't know, Alina. If I had known, I swear I would have come for you. She looked at his hand. It felt warm, safe, but her heart was still full of questions. Why did you even test me? With the wallet? She asked. He looked down in shame. Because I lost faith in people. I started testing strangers to see if honesty still existed. I never thought the person who would pass my test would be my own family. A tear rolled down Alina's cheek. I thought I had no one left in the world, she said. No blood, no name, nothing. Rayan knelt beside her chair. You have a name. You have a family. And from this moment on, you'll never sleep on the street again. She didn't respond, but she didn't pull her hand away either. Later that night, Rayan called a doctor just to check her health. He also spoke to a private investigator. I need proof, he told him. DNA, paperwork, anything that connects her to my sister. Though deep down he already knew. Her eyes, her voice, her honesty. It was all Ariba. Meanwhile, Alina sat quietly on the guest bed, hugging a warm blanket. She looked around at the lights, the shelves, the soft rug under her feet. Was this really her new life? Could she really trust it? She took the photo of her mother and herself from the table and held it close to her chest. For the first time in many years, she whispered a prayer. Mama, if you can see me, I'm okay now. 2 days later, the results came in. DNA. 99.9%. Match. Rayan couldn't hold back his tears. He ran to her room and found her reading a picture book on the bed. He showed her the report. It's true, he said. You're my blood. Alina didn't say anything. She just stood up and slowly walked into his arms. And for the first time in both their lives, they felt something they had forgotten. A week had passed. Alina no longer slept under the open sky. She didn't have to beg for bread. No more torn clothes. No more cold nights. She now had a warm bed, soft pillows, clean clothes, and most of all, a name and a family. Rayan had filed the legal documents. Alina was now officially under his guardianship. Her school admission was also in process. But, more than any paper, what changed both their lives was something deeper. Love. Early one morning, Rayan stood near the garden with 2 cups of tea. Alina came outside, rubbing her eyes. She wore a soft hoodie and slippers. The same girl who once guarded a stranger's wallet now guarded a new life in her heart. Morning, she said, sitting beside him. Morning, Rayan smiled, handing her tea. Sleep okay? She nodded. Better than the street, she said with a grin. Rayan laughed gently. You're getting funnier each day. Alina looked around at the trees, the flowers, the sun shining through the leaves. Is this all real? She asked. Rayan paused. It's as real as you are, and it's yours now. Alina stayed quiet. Then she asked the question that had lived in her heart for days. Why didn't you look for me sooner? Rayan took a long breath. Because I didn't know you existed. And when I found out, it nearly broke me. He looked at her. I spent years building buildings, buying cars, making money. But I couldn't even protect the only family I had. Tears filled his eyes. But now that I've found you, I'll never let go. Alina looked down. It still hurts sometimes. I dream about sleeping alone, hungry, scared. Rayan placed a hand on her shoulder. It takes time, but I'll be here, every step. That same afternoon, Rayan took her to visit her mother's grave. They carried white flowers. Alina stood in front of the stone, tears slipping down her cheeks. She was kind, Alina whispered. She used to sing to me when I cried. I wish I remembered her better. Rayan kneeled beside her. She was stronger than anyone I ever knew, and she'd be so proud of you. Alina placed the flowers gently on the grave. Hi, Mama, she whispered. I met your brother. He's kind. Too, I think you sent him to me. Rayan wiped his tears silently beside her. A month later, Alina started school. On her first day, she stood near the gate, nervous. She held her new school bag tight. She didn't know if she could fit in, but as she turned back, she saw Rayan smiling at her from the car. He gave her a thumbs up. You got this, he mouthed, and something in her heart whispered, You belong. That night, Rayan sat in his home office and looked at the wallet on his desk, the same one he had dropped weeks ago to test a stranger. Now it sat there like a silent reminder of everything that had changed. He picked it up, took out the photo of his younger self, and placed a new photo beside it. A photo of him and Alina smiling in the garden. He whispered to himself, You tested her honesty, and she tested your heart. 6 months later, Alina walked on stage at a school event. She had won a small prize for writing an essay titled, The Day My Life Changed. She took the mic, looked around nervously, then began in simple words. I was once just a face on the street. People walked by me like I didn't exist. I didn't have food, family, or hope. One day a man dropped his wallet near me. I thought, it was a test, and it was. But it wasn't just me being tested. He was being tested too. Because sometimes when we try to test the world tests us back. And what we find is not just truth, but love. The crowd clapped gently. Rayan stood in the back, clapping with tears in his eyes. That night, as Alina went to sleep, she looked out the window. The moon was bright, the sky was clear, and for the first time she didn't feel small anymore. She whispered, Thank you, Mama. I found my way home. And just like that, the test was over. The lesson was learned, and a family was found.